And welcome to the Nasboys podcast. Now, did you know that after reacquiring the track in 1985, track co-founder Larry Carrier sold Bristol to Speedway Motorsports for a reported $26 million in 1996? The track had a capacity of 71,000 and was the Bristol Night Race, was one of the series premiere events called the toughest ticket in racing. Pretty interesting fact there. I wonder how much money 26 million would be today. Comment down below how much that is. But anyways, guys, welcome to the Nasboys podcast. I'm your host, Mike, aka Mike Fob Fan 101, with my good friend and co-host Christian, aka Savage NASCAR.
What to do, Nasboys crew? And you know, one other reason why they call it the toughest ticket in racing was they would always sell out at Bristol back in the 90s, and they would have a waiting list that would be up to 2 years. That's how many people would try to go to the races at Bristol. So that's why they called it the toughest ticket in racing. And Bristol is upcoming this weekend. Looking forward to it, but we got a lot of things to discuss. And man, where do we even start? Just a lot of interesting things at Kansas. A lot of shifts in the standings and people that may miss the playoffs the next round because of tires. So we got a lot to discuss here.
Which I'm actually very excited to talk about, and a couple of drivers in particular I'm really intrigued to talk about. One is personal bias, and the other one is my bias toward the standings. So I guess we will start off with the Cup race. What did you think of it?
The Cup race at Kansas. Well, first off, it was honestly like dominated by Toyotas at the beginning. And I knew Toyota was going to be strong here. I mean, I picked Tyler Reddick to win. And then Denny Hamlin, he led a lot. He led 63 laps. He was pretty consistent. I was shocked about Truex Jr. wrecking on the third lap. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
He's wrong. I'm getting a flat or something.
Oh, he's wrecking. Sure enough, into the wall he goes. The 19. He called it.
Hang up there. Hang up there. Hang up there. Still got about 5 more coming by you.
The caution comes out, and he'll make a hard left turn now as he's coming out of turn 4 and go on to pit road.
This is what we talked about in the whole pre-race show. Kansas, it's in a mile and a half. It looks so normal. It looks so benign. It's anything but. It's impossible to say why, but this car is destroyed, broken front suspension.
Flat right rear tire looks like from the very beginning of the race. You have to wonder how that tire was cut. But obviously going off in the corner with no grip, the tire goes away, he's into the wall. Lost 4 points last week at Darlington with a miserable day. Comes in here plus 25 to the cut line. It's going to put him.
You know, I had him on my fantasy league and team this weekend, and he's now in a possibility of missing the next round, which is crazy considering he won the regular season title. And I picked him to win the championship. So this is not looking good for Truex Jr. He needs a great run at Bristol. But regardless of that, another driver that ran really well was Bubba Wallace. He was really fast. He was pulling some of the fastest laps on the racetrack consistently early on in the race. And I thought he had a good chance, and then he ended up blowing a tire.
And a lot of smoke from the 23 of Bubba Wallace, who was running second.
Right rear tire flat.
Bubba Wallace with the right rear tire carcass about to come off.
Looks like a right rear. Who's a lap? Do I need to just do rights?
That was great. That radio was Booty Barker asking the spotter, wanted to know if he could just change rights. He doesn't want to lose a lap, Parker.
Just before this happened, Bubba Wallace came on the radio and complained about how loose he was suddenly getting in that race car.
So the
team sensing this.
Oh, sorry, Parker. But so, Parker, don't you think that, like, if the right rear starts to lose air, that's probably the loose he was feeling? Is that what you're thinking, going down slowly?
It had to be something like that because he suddenly came on and said he was wrecking loose, and then it was about a lap or two later that you saw this issue. So that maybe gives him an indication there was a tire issue, Steve.
Oh, it looks like more issue.
That's the international sign for something bent or broke. You see the two hands together from the tire change.
Like that. I was looking at him turn the wheel.
So there's the car getting loose into the wall right there. Pretty hard contact. Riding on board. Oh, it blows out. You can hear the tire explode. Oh, man.
That's just unfortunate for Bubba Wallace. 7th playoff driver already in this race that's had an issue.
And, they messed up the toe length. They had to replace that. He lost a lot of laps on pit road, and he ended up finishing 32nd. So another driver that he had a good run, but is now on the verge of missing the next round. Some other drivers to note that I'd like to say that performed really well Sunday that I noticed. There's Brad Keselowski. He led some laps. He led 23. In fact, he was really strong, and Chris Buescher was too for a little bit, but he sort of fell off towards the end of the race. Kyle Larson, he led a lot of laps. So, Larson, he's had a really good playoff so far, and man, he's looking like he's. I'm not saying he's looking like a championship favorite, but he's up there, considering how well he's run so far. Now, one driver that it was really cool to see run well was Eric Jones. He started back in 19th. He didn't lead anything, but he was just really strong in the second half of the race. The crew made a great adjustment to his car, and he made outside passes, not on the inside lane, but the outside lane. So seeing Eric Jones almost win the thing was pretty cool. I wish he did, but it didn't happen. But other than that, it was an okay race. It wasn't the best Kansas race. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10 or no, 5 out of 10. What about you?
I thought the race was pretty solid. Talking about the incidents that happened throughout the race, like with Truex on the third lap, a puncture. That's what caused that flat tire, a puncture in the tire. Goodyear has to start making these better tires. I mean, they're just going to try to start shifting the blame. It is. I mean, they got to start, they shift the blame. Oh, there's a puncture. Where on lap 3 is there a puncture? How?
You think he hit somebody that caused that or what?
I don't know, because from the angle I saw, he looked normally racing, and then the tire went out, and it was shredded. I mean, God. I mean, I'm sure I played the video, but yeah, that's really bad to have a punctured tire on lap 3, and we don't even know if he hit somebody. If he hit somebody, then yeah, that makes sense. But if he's just driving along the track and there's a puncture, that's really bad. We saw William Byron, he spun out. Fortunately, he didn't get any damage.
Second caution of the day, and it comes out for another playoff driver, the 24 of William Byron spinning around, but actually the 3 of Austin Dillon got into the wall first. Take a look.
The 3 car coming off the corner just snaps loose right there, overcorrects right into the wall. All the debris coming off the car. That was going to be a yellow eventually, but just right after this is when the 24 spins in just about the same spot.
This right here just shows you how slick the racetrack is. Cars losing grip with the back tires. And then here you go, William Byron. He's in the gas, trying to make some speed, racing for Christopher Bell, and around it comes.
Yes, we need that radio.
Erie, almost the same spot. Gets fortunate, doesn't really hit anything on the 24.
I think he rebounded, and I think he got a top 5 or top 10, checking right now, where Byron finished.
Byron did finish in the top 10. I'll tell you that.
He finished 15th. I thought he was in the top 10 because I saw him in the top 10 for a minute.
He was at one point, and then he fell off towards the end of the race. But, another Chevy driver that did really well was Kyle Busch. He started all the way in 35th, which is next to last. He ended up finishing. He finished 7th.
Yeah. But yeah, that sucked for Byron, but he rebounded somewhat. But Bubba Wallace again with another tire issue. Goodyear, why? That sucks for him. He might miss it. I think I could see him missing it because I feel like Truex and Logano are going to have good runs, and maybe even Harvick will have a good run at Bristol. But then, the finish is one thing I really wanted to talk about as well. We had Eric Jones up in the top 5. We had Joey Logano. He took a 2-tire stop. Kyle Busch was there as well. And that was some great racing toward the end. I feel like a lot of the finishes at Kansas and the truck race too, which we'll get into, there were some great finishes. I couldn't tell who was going to win between Logano and Eric Jones because it looked like a pretty even battle. I think they both took 2. I know Logano took 2. But then Tyler Reddick, that pass was a great move. He got the run. He drafted, I think, off Logano or Jones. Great draft to go to the apron and just went past them both because he took 4. Hamlin followed suit right after. That was just, oh man, that was just amazing racing by everybody, even the guys that took 2.
In contact into 3.
Reddick now with momentum coming to the outside.
Reddick dives down low, 3 wide. He's going to be clear going into turn 1.
One more time around. Reddick out in front now. A big run out of the 11, but the door is closed by Jones. Eric Jones running second, Hamlin is third. Tyler Reddick looking for his 5th career win. Reddick out of 4. He's going to advance to the round of 12. Reddick wins in Kansas.
Let's go! Yes! All right! You are awesome, buddy. You are awesome.
Even though Logano lost, I give Reddick a lot of props. I enjoyed that finish a lot. And then I guess my last thing that I really want to cover is Truex maybe missing the next round. I think it's really ridiculous that the guy has had such a great season. And if this were the old days, he would be easily in the top 2 in the points. And he's out. I mean, it's ridiculous. He has one thing go wrong for him. He had a solid race, I think, at what was it, Darlington. And then in Kansas, he just has one thing go wrong and he's almost out. That's really stupid. He
wasn't even doing that good at Darlington, though. He was good in the spring race, but this past year at Darlington, he was not even in the remotely close to contending. So
right, but it sucks.
He just struggled.
It sucks to have like 2 mistakes, or you have one bad race at Darlington. You have a solid car at Kansas, but you can't use it because your tire goes out, and he can't even show that. And now, if he doesn't have a good run at Bristol, he's out when he should be easily a Final Four contender. That's ridiculous.
It reminds me of Kevin Harvick in 2020.
Mm-hmm. Right, with the 9-win season, and then all of a sudden, I have a terrible race in the round of 8, and now I'm out. Stupid. But
now you know how I feel about it.
Oh no, I've always hated the playoffs.
Okay,
I always have. It's ridiculous. But taking a look at what you overall,
you go right to it.
I was gonna say in conclusion, I think the race was really good. I give it about a 7. Taking a look at what you guys had to say, 17% said great, 67% said good, 17% said message okay, nobody said bad. No thoughts. Driver of the day, Eric Jones. I don't know if I would agree with Eric Jones. I'm gonna give it to Tyler Reddick.
Reddick made a great move, but he only led 2 laps. I want to give it to Reddick. I mean, Jones, I could see where Jones could be it because of how well the team adjusted in the second half of the race and was contending, considering how they usually run. But honestly, if Kyle Busch was in the top 5 on the final restart, he would have probably got a top 3. And he started 35th. So I want to go with either Kyle Busch or Kyle Larson.
I think I'm going to change mine. I'm going to go with Kyle Busch.
Larson did 99 laps, but that's the reason why I'd say it'd be Larson.
True. I saw Bell leading too, but I'm not going to give him driver of the day. I could see why you would say Larson. But anyway, taking a look at the Xfinity race, I thought it was a pretty solid race. Typical Xfinity racing at Kansas. We saw John Hunter Nemechek. I feel like he pretty much dominated most of the race. He won both stages, I believe. And John Hunter Nemechek has been looking so good recently. I think he has like not 2 wins in a row. Is this the second win in a row? Hold on. I'm looking at the stats right now. No, it's not. But it should have been because Denny Hamlin was in Darlington. That's what happened. But yeah, John Hunter Nemechek, he wins again. I think he's my championship pick. Now that the Xfinity playoffs are starting, I'm picking John Hunter Nemechek to win the championship. I know Hill is the regular season champ, but I feel like John Hunter has been way faster than Austin Hill. We did see a couple of incidents, like there were some big names that wrecked. Like we did see Sam Mayer. I think he got into a wreck. We saw Sheldon Creed.
As he kind of corrects down the track, it spins the one out, and then behind him,
He kind of wrecked somebody. I think it was Sammy Smith into Allgaier. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
Oh, contact! The 7th around. Sammy Smith's in the wall.
Brandon Jones around as well. Kligerman gets through it. He was right behind him.
He got loose and Clintus killed it.
So that was a pretty insane wreck. But then the rest of the racing just looked pretty typical. We saw one car. I think it might have been Riley Herbst. I can't remember. There was some incident. Jeremy Clements had his tire fall off, like the wheel, not the wheel, but like the tire part, rubber, whatever word I'm looking for here. It fell off because of how rough the track is on these Goodyear tires. That's all I'm gonna do for this episode on the Goodyear tires. And then that caused an incident. It was Custer. Custer ran over it.
Caution's out. Oh, right. Cole Custer. It looked like he ran over something. There was something. We saw smoke fly to the right side of the car.
well, they said caution for debris, and then he wrecked, I think.
Yeah.
What did he?
Look at the damage on the right front.
At the wall.
Yeah, but
Get up into the wall in 1 and 2.
I agree, but the damage in front of the tire, to Jeff's point, I don't believe is from the wall. I believe that looks like, did debris hit it above the splitter?
I saw smoke come out of the car. Go back.
So this is the 51 coming in. You see it, we stop right there. You look at the right rear tire is coming off that car, right? So he has a flat right rear, Jeff, going into turn 1.
Yeah. That's just unfortunate. And if you're Cole Custer, yeah, you expect NASCAR to see that. And now he's committed. There's no missing it. Had he been able to see it approaching the corner, Junior, he could have done something, but there's just no possible way he could have seen it.
It was right there.
Change his line.
We saw it go in between the 20.
And then that caused something. But overall, I think this race was pretty solid. I will give it a 6.
Well, real quick, about the Xfinity race, I thought it was pretty cool to see Parker Kilgerman advance. He finished 4th in the race, and there's enough to advance, basically put him into the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. But man, Nemechek, he is pretty much the lock to win the championship, and a guy that you would, unless something drastically happens, he wouldn't win. He's won 6 races this year. He led 154 of the 200 laps. Like he just dominated. But another driver I'd say for the Xfinity Championship that is not on everybody's radar, but has won some this year, and that's Austin Hill. I think he could have a chance. But some other drivers to point out that ran well on Saturday: Joe Graf Jr. finished 9th. Derek Kraus was 8th. Kazraw was 10th, and Parker Retzlaff finished 11th. So good for those guys. But if I were to give the Xfinity race a rating, I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 10. I wasn't too impressed by it. I'm not a huge fan of the Xfinity Series at that track.
Interesting. But yeah, Parker Kilgerman, I forgot to mention that, or Kligerman. I don't know how you pronounce his name, because you pronounce it Kilgerman, but the broadcasters pronounce it Kliger. But anyways, that's really cool to see him make the playoffs. I was a little surprised because he was having a rough time, but he's been rebounding. Great job by him to make it. And the Xfinity playoffs, for those of you that want to know, is John Hunter Nemechek, Austin Hill, Justin Allgaier, Cole Custer, Sam Mayer, Chandler Smith, Josh Berry, Sheldon Creed, Sammy Smith, Jeb Burton, Daniel Hemrick, and Parker Kligerman. Daniel Hemrick is actually going to be driving the number 10 because Kaulig wants to try to win the Owners' Championship. So I guess they're going to get Kraus and maybe some other truck drivers to fill in for the 11 car, which is a good decision. And I'm glad that NASCAR is allowing them to use the 10 for Hemrick, because I didn't want Hemrick to get screwed over. One more time, I think Nemechek will win the championship, and I definitely think Austin Hill is a Final Four lock. For the other two guys, I don't really know. I could see Custer doing well. I could see Allgaier making it. I could even see Sam Mayer making it to the Final Four. So we'll see what happens with the Xfinity playoffs. Taking a look at what you guys had to say. 15% said great, 15% said good, 100% said mess, that's okay. Nobody said bad. No thoughts. No driver of the day. I will give it to, actually not 100%, excuse me, 80%. Driver of the day, I will give it to
Nematode.
John Hunter Nemechek. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking for his word there.
Would say Nematode.
Now for the truck race. This was a pretty solid race. I really liked how they were racing 3 wide a lot. I liked how there were a lot of battles going on. Trying to think of any real incidents. We saw Rajah Karoof. He spun out. He had a rough time.
Yeah.
But the race was mostly dominated. The first part was dominated by Nick Sanchez. He was doing really good, like I thought he would. And he fell off a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him, but I think he still got a top 5 if I'm not mistaken. So that was good. But then Carson Hocevar and Corey Heim, I feel like those two have been really the class of the field in the trucks for the last few weeks. So seeing them battle was really good. But Heim looked more like the dominant truck in the battle. Like most of the time it's Hocevar, but Heim looked really, really good. And then toward the end of the race, just kind of fell off. And then I think they had pits. So taking a look at what was going on with the results in the race, we saw Di Benedetto. Go ahead.
I will say Mason Maggio did red. And one thing I thought that was interesting too, I didn't realize Sanford Joe Cobb was still racing in the truck series.
Yeah, I think she's only on like a very part-time basis.
Yeah. But Matt, you were saying Matt Benedetto, I mean, he had a great run. He needed a good run to advance to the next round, and he delivered. So he actually did something.
Once in his career. No, but it says he's on the he's on the bubble.
Well, he was supposed to, I'm pretty sure he advanced to the next round, or am I wrong?
No, I think you're wrong because he's on the bubble. It says he's on the bubble, he's out. There's 10 guys, and Sanchez had a good run, which doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why.
He probably did miss because I know Kansas was the race that sealed the round of 8, so he probably did miss.
So yeah, he did miss. He did miss. Duh.
Okay,
Sanchez
my bad.
is no. I'm saying duh for me because I was like, why is he on the bubble? But
no,
anyway,
I said he was in. That was my bad. I didn't.
No, I know you did. I know you did, but I was agreeing with you for some stupid reason.
You know, Matt Crafton missed. I do know that. Crafton, he hasn't missed the first round in years.
Matt Crafton is washed.
Well, he's older. He's older than some of, like, he was racing in Truck Series back before some of these guys were even born. Think about that.
Yeah, I saw that. That was the fact I kind of wanted to mention, but so thank you for mentioning that. But yeah, Di Benedetto missing. I'm a little surprised considering he did finish 3rd, but since I guess Nick Sanchez had the stage points, it makes a ton of sense. And he did lead laps, so good for NASCAR for getting it right. But yeah, it was a pretty solid race. The finish of that race is really what I want to mention. Christian Eckes was kind of an upset winner. Like I mentioned, the race was mostly, I felt like, between Heim, Hocevar, and then maybe Sanchez. And then Eckes, he made such a great move. I probably played the finish, but yeah, Eckes made such a great move. He was battling hard with Zane Smith, which Zane Smith came out a little bit out of nowhere. I was a little surprised he came back up there once Sanchez fell off. But then Eckes made that great move, kind of put Zane in the wall. I don't think he meant to, and he just meant to get the Zane, side draft, but he did an amazing move and got that upset win to put himself in the next round. That was a really awesome finish. I enjoyed it.
Smith in the middle.
3 wide for the lead. Look at this.
3 wide. There's contact. Corey Heim. White flag is out. How is this one going to end? Christian Eckes by a nose. 3 wide, guys. They're hanging on to it for this final lap.
Watch Zane's side draft. Corey Heim
Where will Christian go? Will he dive to the bottom? Yes.
Is Christian Eckes going to steal this? Christian, Zane Smith sideways, taps the wall. He hangs on to it. They're 3 wide behind him. Christian Eckes steals the win here at Kansas.
Oh, me, what a finish. How about Matt DiBenedetto grabbing the 3rd spot?
I'm glad to see him win. And, you know, it was a crazy finish. Do I think it was a little rough? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's the truck series.
That's racing to me, honestly. So, taking a look at what you guys had to say, 10% said great, 70% said good, 20% said mess. Okay, nobody said bad. No thoughts, no driver of the day. I will give it to I'll give it to Corey Heim. I felt like he was the dominant truck.
Gotcha. I'm going to give it to him too. Real quick, let's look at meme of the week. We got 2 from Brad Wazowski. One is about Suarez on the final restart. I don't know what he's thinking. They just decided to go for it, but no tires. And then also his one with Kevin Harvick, if it'll load on my screen. But you'll probably see it. It's just watching NASCAR when you don't have USA Network. And then NASCAR memes IG about how do I win at Kansas again? Denny Hamlin just puts people on the wall. So, yeah, that's interesting little meme of the week there. And Bristol, we got Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Who you got Thursday night?
Thursday night, I am going with Ty Majeski.
Interesting. I'm gonna go with Zane Smith.
Okay, Xfinity race Friday night. I am going with Sheldon Creed.
You know, he probably could win. I was thinking about picking him, but because you picked him, I'm going to go against it. I'm going to say John Hunter Nemechek goes back to back.
And for the Cup race, I am going to go with Christopher Bell.
You know, last year's race was pretty solid, to say the least. It wasn't the best Bristol night race, but, you know, it was better than the last couple of years. I think this year's will be better than last year's. Bell's not a bad pick. I mean, I picked him to win the Bristol Dirt Race this year, and he did. He's really good on the short tracks. He won at Martinsville last year, so definitely a possibility. But the guy that I picked for the playoff prediction video to win this race is Kyle Larson, and I could definitely see him winning it. He won here a couple years ago in the night race, and he's always pretty strong at Bristol. But some other guys to look out for. Kyle Busch is someone to look out for. Denny Hamlin. I think Kevin Harvick may have a solid run, but Harvick, every couple of years, he'll run well at Bristol, and then he'll have something happen, like he gets caught up in a wreck. But, you know, when the pressure's on the line, another driver that I think he's going to run really hard, he's going to try his best because he needs to. Joey Logano, he's going to get a top 5.
Yeah.
But what about you? Do you think there's going to be any wrecks? What do you think about the race in general?
I think this race is going to be a very tough race, and especially with some guys below the cut line. Like, I'm going to look at the cut line really quick. So in the cut line, we have Martin Truex Jr. He's really good at Bristol. Excuse me. I don't know why I said Texas and then Kansas. We got Joey Logano in 11th. We got Kevin Harvick in 12th. He's pretty solid at Bristol. We have Bubba Wallace. He's decent on short tracks. But I think Ricky Stenhouse and McDowell are done. But it will be a very interesting battle from 11th to 14th. I think that those guys could be switching back and forth. Will we see any other issues with some of these guys? I don't think so. I think most of the other guys are pretty much locked in. And Logano, I feel like he needs to get some stage points and he needs to finish in the top 5, which I feel like is very doable for Logano at Bristol. He's very strong at that track and especially at the night race. I feel like Truex will definitely make it and he will knock out Harvick. And I don't think Bubba Wallace will make it. I think we'll see another interesting race and maybe some tempers flare.
Oh, tempers. We haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
Except for occasional spats on pit road. Like, you know, we saw Larson and Elliott have a little bit. Elliott just crying as usual.
The Hamlin only loses 3 to guys that took 2 tires. And look how close this is, the 6, the 9, the 5. Big contact between the 5 and the 9. I actually think the 5 of Larson, look.
Oh, yeah.
Boy.
Chase was not happy about it. He had no idea that it was Keselowski that moved him up the racetrack.
Yeah.
But, you know, arguing with his teammate about pit road when Larson had no space. So we'll see. Elliott's lost his temper before. He's done it at Bristol, too. So has Harvick. So Harvick's had a couple instances at Bristol over the years. But, you know, you were mentioning Michael McDowell and Stenhouse. Stenhouse, he's done decently at Bristol before, but he's not going to advance. And then McDowell, he would need a miracle. But, you know, McDowell ran decently in Kansas for some of the race, but, you know, he'd have to finish in the top 5 to have a shot.
I think one more thing before we close the episode out is you were at the Racers reunion up in Mount Airy, North Carolina. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, so I went in on Friday. I stayed Friday night through Saturday. Really, really good event. It was cool to see a lot of people that were there last year, but also people that I've met through online, and then former drivers, pit crew members, people that made the sport what it is today, pioneers. And we got to honor them, you know, on the Wall of Fame in downtown Mount Airy, but give out awards as well. We also there's a silent auction. I was doing photos and videos this past weekend, but it was great, man. The weather held off for most of the day, which is great because last year it just absolutely poured and not a lot of people showed up. And then this year it was sunny up until about 1:30, and then the skies opened up. So you know, it was a great event. Really enjoyed it. Whenever you come down here, Mike, I want to see you come to this event, and you know, you get to see all these former stock cars and all these other different cars, like modifieds were there. There's a modified sprint car hybrid. You know, the car that was the first to average a 200-mile-per-hour lap at Talladega for qualifying. The Benny Parsons car was there. You know, we saw Tim Walker brought the Bobby Allison Dodge Daytona. So, yeah, there's always cool things to see. And then people that you meet through online or people that follow you on social media be like, hey, I recognize you. I see you. I enjoy your stuff. So, you know, it's always fun to go to that event. It's every September. This year is September the 9th. Last year is September the 10th, and the year before that was September the 11th. So next year, I believe it's September the 8th. So that's really the best way I could describe it to you. They also do autographs throughout the morning. And usually they have a parade later on in the afternoon. They didn't have a parade this year because of the rain.
Well, I would certainly love to come down there one year and meet you for the first official time, Christian. For those of you that don't know, we have never met each other in person. That would be the coolest vlog ever if me, you, and Cam could ever meet. But I think that's going to close out this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
See y'all.
You wanted what I think, all these women lie.